stock, all the news you need to keep in mind outside of the stock markets. Well, let's talk about Tata Motors now. We told you in the morning, and this big story that's in today's Economic Times. Joining us now, the person who broke that story, Arijit Berman. The big story, of course, being that Tata Motors wants to raise nearly $600 million. This is primarily for its EV business, happening almost a year after it raised nearly $1 billion from TPG as well as others. The recently concluded Auto Expo, you of course saw the top boss of Tata Sons and Chandra unveiling all of the new offerings from Tata Motors. Big focus on EVs as well. Let's go across to Arijit for the big story that he broke this morning. Good morning, Arijit.
Good morning.
So go ahead. $600 million is what Tata Motors is in the market for.
Yes, and not just 600 million, but at a premium of 15 to 20% from the last round, which was raised at a headline valuation of 9.1 billion. So we're talking about the EV vertical now getting valued close to $11 billion. Well, that's a lot of money, or a lot of valuation, so to speak. Interestingly, you started, talking about, started the previous news wrap talking about Reed Hastings. I see interesting parallels between Netflix and Tata Motors. You might be scratching your head and wondering what's the connection between an EV company and Netflix. Well, the answer is debt. Netflix grew exponentially, but they pumped up a lot of steroids into the company, the steroids being debt. Tata Motors also has 59,000 crore of consolidated debt. Mind you, this is consol debt. A fundraise will help deleverage the balance
sheet. Now, what's interesting here is if I just think to it, Nantara, Tesla, which is like the leader, the Dada of the EV space, Tesla stock in last 1 year has seen a collapse of about 70%. If Tata Motors indeed goes through, and this is what Arijit's story, if this deal goes through, it's not official, it is source-based, then this deal will go at a premium of 15 to 20%. So at a time when Tesla's stock has got corrected, it has not corrected, but it's just got completely chopped. If the deal goes at a premium, that just tells you that how the Tata Motor EV portfolio is something which everybody is looking at is endorsing. I think more than just getting cash in the company, this also becomes a benchmark because Tata Motors is almost like a sum of part company. The EV business, the passenger car business, 2 parts, combustion engine and EV, and then you got the JLR piece. The JLR is where the yes, no, I don't know is happening. EV business is in a natural uptrend because of the economy, and passenger vehicle is where the valuations are going higher. But I mean, the deal goes through that kind of money coming in, and if Tata Technology is one of the arms which they are looking at listing in this calendar year, then we are significantly looking at Tata Motors' balance sheet becoming much lighter than it. But the news is not having a very large impact on the stock per se. So I'm going to just move on and look at HUL, the royalty news versus numbers. Will the royalty news mar the sentiment? It is marring the sentiment. And Kunal, that is the problem, right? Good news is getting ignored, bad news is getting amplified. IndusInd Bank numbers, good numbers, stock came down. Asian Paints, in line, the stock comes down. Good numbers from Infosys, no reaction. HUL, royalty versus numbers, yes, no. But everybody's focusing on not the quarterly beat, but the royalty part.
Correct. So I agree with the broader thesis over here that the markets are reacting or you can say sort of punishing the stocks which are coming out with negative news flow or events, but not rewarding as amply for stocks which are having a lot of positivity for them. Even for example, a stock like Tata Motors, I think 3-4 days back when the stock had come out with a positive news flow, it had gone up into a gap up more, but then the stock has corrected also in the last 3-4 days. Same is the case with IT names, HCL Tech, Infosys, TCS. These stocks have not gone into a very sharp kind of a rally. Yes, they've managed to recover the loss, the marginal loss which these stocks have shown on the results day, but then no meaningful rally. And stocks like Bajaj Finance, Finserv, etc., these stocks have also gone through a very sharp correction. So I agree with the thesis, but then I think this is how the overall market texture has been over the last 18, 19 days so far. We are almost on the 19th or the 20th day of consolidation above the 17,800 mark, but it's just that the stock specific churn makes it a lot more difficult market to try and trade with. So we'll, from an index point of view, we ideally wait out for a breakout, but from a stock specific point of view, it's always better to try and trade with a strict stop loss in these kind of names.
Okay, 55 seconds to go. First rates looks like we are in for another day of flat start for benchmark indices, and that's becoming more like a routine affair. The advantage is that when you trade so much of time in a range, then markets in a sense get programmed to think that we are in a broader range with well-defined ends. And if things go well globally and locally and on the budget front, then you actually may see outperformance coming in mid and small cap stocks. I think these are early days to talk about it. But somewhere I think next couple of days would be hard to call. Not because of flow or some global activity, because you've got a budget. And every time ahead of budget, there is always this one speculation which runs wild. Long-term LTCG and STCG. What will happen there? I mean, that is almost like the most talked about and the most favorite topic every year for markets ahead of any budget. So this time it's no different. Given that Tarun Bajaj, before he retired, he did indicate that India needs a similar tax regime. Flat start for benchmark indices, both for the Nifty and for the Sensex. As of now, it's not going anywhere. It's a flat start for the Bank Nifty also, and the breadth is not looking anything which is very meaningful. I mean, initially you cannot look at the breadth because it takes about 2-3 minutes for some of the illiquid names to adjust, but the breadth is not looking like meaningfully powerful, so to speak. I'm just going to use my screen now to get some of the first rates. I'm going to start with HUL, the newsmaker. Let's start with Paytm, another big newsmaker. I mean, the management is confident that they will reach breakeven ahead of time. So 532 rupees for Paytm as well. Vedanta, it's been in news. Tata Motors, while the Economic Times is reporting about a deal in the EV business, and that surely will have impact on the stock per se. Hindustan Zinc, the news reaction on your screen. Tata Motors 404, not like a mighty news reaction. Zomato is bouncing back. Vedanta will see a reaction because of the Hindustan Zinc news, but I think it is HUL which is turning out to be a tough Friday morning for HUL, and it is falling on strong volumes. What matters to me, I guess, is also the operating volume part in a stock like HUL. I'm just going to see if I can identify any more volume trades here. Guys, guess what? HUL is falling on strong volumes also. The transaction in HUL is almost 100 crore. So someone is saying hello in terms of selling. The bears are saying hello once again on that stock. You got Coforge, which is up 5%. And Adani Enterprises FPO opens later this month, and ahead of that the stock is not showing any signs of promise. So it's a okay start, nothing large. Bad news is getting punished, good news is getting ignored. I guess the trend continues.
No surprises to see that cut on HUL, and by the way, that's taken down the FMCG index to the top sectoral loser. Pharma giving it company, metals pretty quiet, but it's banks on the flip side along with the media index that's holding out, albeit very marginally in trade. Asian Paints is the other big newsmaker. It's been a bit of a miss when it comes to the numbers, which is why HUL and Asian Paints are taking the top two spots as the big losers on the index. There's Nestle as well that's down and out. ITC as well added to that list. All right, lots of other newsmakers. Nikunj flagged off Tata Motors. There's also Sun Pharma. They're going to acquire Concert Pharma at about $576 million. Reliance Industries will be closely watching out for numbers. It's going to be very late in the evening though, but we're expecting the highest quarterly PAT growth in 4 quarters. The stock ahead of its earnings, well, 24.63 is where it's at. By the way, apart from Reliance Industries, there's HDFC Life, JSW Steel, among many others that will be coming out with their quarterly performance today. Emphasis, it's been a weaker than expected set of numbers yesterday. Strong deal wins, the stock though clearly being punished. L&T Tech revenues came in at about 2,048 crore rupees. The profits 305 crores, down 1.5%. AU Small Finance, you had Morgan Stanley saying that yes, loan growth has been healthy, margins are healthy, but target has been slashed. BHEL has bagged an order for the modernization of the Utkai Thermal Power Station in Gujarat, some steam turbines. Polycab reacting to its numbers. You have PVR, which came out with its earnings, a PAT versus a loss last year. Anantraj zooming number in terms of their PAT performance at 45 crore rupees. A quick check-in as to how that stock is shaping up. That's Anant Raj, with revenues as well having grown to about 265 odd crore rupees. Talking about Anant Raj, and then there's Polycab as well, which came out with its earnings, and Jefferies has replaced ICICI Pru Life with HDFC Life. They included an investment in Godrej Properties with a 3% weight, reducing weight in Macrotech. All right, Kunal, your initial thoughts, not on the index because that's doing nothing, but maybe on HUL. Not surprising to see that fall. Where's the stock headed to? And of course, what's your first trade?
Yeah, I'm not surprised to see the fall in HUL, and I think it's bound to be that the volumes today would be, of course, proportionately higher than the volumes possibly in the last few days of the stock consolidating. So no surprises over there. What we need to see is that if there is any kind of an intraday recovery at the stock stages, in case if the indicators get into oversold, so possibly in the first hour or so, we'll try and check on that. The advanced sector ratio for the market is quite healthy, so that's a sign that even if the indices open with a very softish kind of a note, the bias would probably remain a bit more positive. The stock which I would look to initiate at current levels would be Bank of Baroda. I think it's a very interesting chart shaping up for the stock, and that's what I believe that the PSU banking stocks, especially the larger cap names, can make a strong comeback.
Okay, so that was Kunal's first trade. He bought Bank of Baroda. Naresh, what was your trade?
So continuing to like ONGC, that's a stock which is setting up for a breakout. So adding positions on that one looks set up for a move towards 170. You would keep a stop loss at 146. So ONGC is the one.